New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello, welcome back. It's wonderful to have you here again for Global Focus today. I am Reverend Dr. Sherry Johnson, your host, and our guest today is Sheryl Cattell, RScP, that's RScP, religious science practitioner, whose ministry is called Allmaya, and she'll explain to you what that means, but I want to tell you a little bit about her first because she's not your average run-of-the-mill person. She's one of those Jill of all people, Jill of all trades. She does a little of this and a little of that and a little of the other thing. And the next thing you know, magic happens. She has a book. She does coaching. She does practitioner training and practitioner sessions and mentoring and all kinds of other really cool stuff. And she does it all in Florida. So I thought, well, this is someone we need to talk to. And I asked her and she said yes. So please help me welcome Sheryl Cattell. Hi, Sheryl. Thank you so much for saying yes.
Of course, that's my problem. I say yes to everything because I think everything is an opportunity to connect and to show up and be the vehicle for spirit on earth. So I find myself saying yes a lot and overcommitting sometimes, but that's okay.
Well, I'm glad you squeeze us in.
No, I'm so thankful. It's great to be here.
So the first thing I want you to do is explain what Allmaya means, because that's a really cool name.
Well, and I was absolutely shocked that the URL was available. So Allmaya started for me. I lived on an ashram for a year. And so Maya is a Sanskrit word. So I was studying with a Hindu guru. This was down in Virginia, Yogaville, Virginia. Believe it or not, there really is a city named that. And so I was learning all about this thing called Maya, which is really a word that means the illusion that we see reality through. In other words, everything that we see, it's through our perceptions, our experiences, things that have happened to us. And that really, there's really nothing good or bad. Everything is just an illusion, what we make it out to be, right? Just like Abraham Lincoln, people are just about as happy as they make up their minds to be. The illusion, we can decide what we want it to be, good or bad, or we can let it go and see it for what it is. So Allmaya actually was my first AOL email address. It's on my license plate. It's been there for probably 30 years. And it is a reminder to me, no matter if I'm having a good day, a bad day, it doesn't matter. It's just an illusion. And I can decide to make it whatever I want.
So you're a practitioner of conscious awareness.
I try, we all need to keep trying. It's a daily challenge. It's a daily.
I can understand that because it's a daily challenge for me too. But the understanding that we get to choose how we see stuff. We don't necessarily get to choose what we see, but we get to choose how we see it.
Yep, absolutely.
That's a shift that is magical. Absolutely magical. And it's not one that people can usually manage for themselves. Most of us to figure out what that is and how to go about it. So tell us some of your favorite things that you do in Allmaya.
Whew, well, I do want to say that I think all of us are in need of reminders, things that will help us remember that we're all spiritual beings having a human experience. And so the All Maya is to remind me that no matter how I might be struggling, that I need to go back to that place of my higher self. I need to go back to that connection. And then the struggle I can let go of. And so I need that reminder. And that's why every time I go out to my car and walk around and see the license plate, oh, that's right. Of course. Now I remember. The same thing with my email address. I need that memory. So, in terms of my favorite things that I do, I love setting intentions to manifest connections, and that was really the what happened with this book. I decided that all of the people that kept saying, you should write a book. I said, okay, all right, Spirit, I hear you. You keep telling me this. So what is this book about? And so I started deciding what's happened in my life that I could share. Well, I've had a lot of adversities. And so that started it, adversities. I crowdsourced the title. I came up with 10 titles and got feedback from friends, family, Facebook, and that was started the process. And then I came up with a cover. I went to 99 designs. Highly recommended. For $99, I got like 99 different designs for my book. And
Wow.
so I had a title, I had the cover, and all I needed to do then was to write the words. That's
I
how
love it.
Rev Sherry. That's how I operate. So I sort of have this idea of where I want to go. Another favorite part of my ministry is music. Music is a very, very powerful spiritual connection. And so I think it was probably 20 years ago, I decided that Janice Stanfeld was somebody that I needed to share with people. And so we brought her to the Center for Spiritual Living in Fort Lauderdale. And I have to tell you, it was a gift. So my wife and I paid for her travel and she stayed with us. And I have to tell you, that was probably one of the most powerful weekends of my entire life. So Janice Stanfeld is sitting at our breakfast table and she picks up our cup. And on the cup, it says, all that we ask is that you stay open to changing your entire life by changing your mind. She wrote a song. It was on her next CD. It's called Hug Song. She calls it One Day at a Time or something. But anyway, that was just so magical. And then the day she left, she sang her song. We started a conversation that I never want to end. And both my wife and I, after she left, we were just so like let down. And I said, I feel like we just broke up with somebody. And she felt exactly the same way. She just brought so much richness into our lives. And we got to share it with about 60 of our best friends at the concert. And then I have to tell you a story. I mean, this weekend was just magical. We tell you a story. What happened was after the concert or in the concert, she said, "Oh, I have a really good friend of mine who's here from Miami, and her name is Amy Carol Webb, and she's a singer songwriter as well." Well, we'd never heard of her. So she had Amy come up and do a couple of songs, and she did "I Come from Women," which is a beautiful from her Native American heritage. And she did a couple of songs, and my wife and I just said, "How could we have not known about this woman?" And so after the concert, Janice said, "Would it be okay if my friend Amy and her wife came to your house and maybe just we just played a few songs on the guitar?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding? A private concert in my living room? Of course you can." And so there were probably about 10 of us that just sat around all afternoon and just played music, and they would go back and forth. Jana would play a song, Amy would play a song, and back and forth, and it was just magical, just absolutely magical. And I have to tell you, we have these two dachshunds, and one of them loves to sing. And so Amy has a song, Howling at the Moon. And literally on cue, there's one part of the song that goes, ah, and Maya, that's my dog's name, Maya lets out a beautiful howl on key. And we started laughing so hard that we almost, well, peed ourselves. But anyway, that is the magic of life, to say yes to life and to want to share it. And then the people that gained the most out of it were us, who were doing it as a gift. So that's one of my favorite. We've got another event coming up in March 9th, 8th and 9th. We're bringing Karen Drucker from California. I forgot to tell you about this. So yes, this is the first time Karen Drucker has been east of the Mississippi since before COVID, and she said she was never coming back east. It's too hard for her. Her back hurts. The airline is too the flight is too long, and so on. And she said, I've never said yes. I've been saying no and no and no and no. And Sheryl, you finally got me to say yes. So there must be a reason. So March 7th, she arrives, and 50 of our dearest friends will be getting together for a retreat with Karen.
Oh,
And yeah, can you imagine? And then we're going to go to Disney World and see the Avatar installation and fly on a Banshee. So, I mean, life is magic, right? And
yes, it is.
it is. It's so magical. And, when we first committed, to Karen, she's like, well, the flight is too long. I found a direct flight. Oh, it's really hard for me to sit and coach. I said, okay, I'm going to cough up the first class. So she's coming first class. But I mean, it took all of that to get her to say yes. And then I thought, oh, I don't know how much this is going to cost me. It's not going to cost a penny. The retreat is completely covering everything. And so I'm looking forward to an equally amazing, magical weekend. And that's what happens. That's what happens.
That's one of those places where, when things like that happen, I think I'm embarrassed because I asked for something and I got it, and I was surprised. That's how the universe works. You ask, you get. But
Mhm.
I was surprised about it because illusion.
The illusion gets in the
We
way.
live in the illusion of separation, and that is the only one that matters, is the illusion of separation.
And to
And
let it go.
that's the definition of Maya that I've always had, is the illusion of separation.
Oh, I love the adding the separation. I think when I picked up the Maya, I was really, just struggling with people, relationships, things. And so for me, it was just remembering that I don't have to see it as uh, as an obstacle. It's something I can just let go. It's like holding on to a rock and just letting it go. So.
I describe it as holding on to a porcupine with the quills pointed towards you.
Oh, okay, I like that visual, but I don't wanna be
That's
there.
that's when you know I got to let this go.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. So,
Well, that's great. Well, so boy, I wish you lived closer to here because I love me some Karen Drucker.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
But tell us, in your just sort of daily ministry, the things that you do just as part of being who you are, what's the biggest challenge that you have?
Mm. Hmm. The biggest challenge I think is getting stuck in the human experience. Um, you know, taking things personally. I always think of the 4 agreements, right? Um, that human experience, anytime I'm feeling something negative, I know that it's really just an illusion, and it's me getting stuck in a very small place, right? So the human experience is I'm a small being, right? And somebody cuts me off in traffic and I get mad and upset about that. But the bigger experience is I know that that person is probably driving their wife to the hospital because she's delivering a baby in the front seat, right? That I can convert that somebody said something that hurt my feelings. And just remembering and breaking out of that human experience to remembering. I think that's the biggest obstacle, is how easy it is to forget what's important
Ah,
and who we really are.
yep,
The
who
connection.
we really are. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, so what's the most exciting success that you have had
Hmm.
since you started Allmaya?
No, it has to be the book. Although in terms of it's not on the New York Times bestseller list or anything.
Yet?
But I think the accomplishment that I really there were I would say probably 3 times. It took 2 years, let me just say that. I thought, I tackled something and it's gonna be done in a few months. I thought 6 months at the most, and it took 2 years, and I have to say there were probably 3 times during that 2-year period where I just gave up. I can't do it. It's too much. You're asking too much. This is too hard, too difficult. And to be able to overcome that and to be able to hold it right now, I have it, I can touch it, I can see it, I can smell it. To see that progression of giving up and yet being able to get back up, right? Fall down 6 times, get up 7
Get
times.
up 7.
And that's what I needed. I needed that 7th time, literally, to know that when I trust in spirit, that I can do anything. And sometimes spirit shows up in the weirdest ways, right? So a really good friend of mine is an editor. Of course, spirit, thank you. But been friends for probably 30 plus years. And I went to her and I said, look, Becky, I really, I can't afford to hire an editor. I'll take you to a really nice restaurant. Anyway, she went through and edited this book. Reverend Sherry, it was amazing to see my book through her eyes and the things that she added in terms of this isn't really clear. You need to clarify how you're saying this because I could take it this way, or I mean, and I'm thinking, wow, to see it through her eyes. And there were a couple of times where she said, she says, I've never edited a book that I had to stop because I was crying. And that was one of the times when Spirit spoke to me. I told her, she says, well, what's the status of your book? Where are you at? And I said, Becky, I gave up. I just gave up. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't get past this one thing. And she said, Sheryl, as you know, I've read thousands of books and I've edited hundreds of books. If you don't publish this book, you will be doing a disservice. This is a really good book. And I needed to hear that because I had given up, just completely given up. And so Spirit spoke through Becky. And I have to say that was such a powerful message. It's like, how do you ignore it? Okay, okay. And it was the 7th time that I needed to get up. Yeah. So
Excellent.
I'm proud of it. And yet it was not easy. Was not probably one of the hardest things I've ever done.
Well, I'm pretty sure that the things we count as our biggest successes are almost always also the hardest things we've ever done.
I think you're right. Yeah, you're right.
So that's, well, and so I don't know about you, but for me, what gets me through some things like that is the knowledge, even though it's not specific, that whatever this experience is bringing me is something somebody else needs,
Uh-huh.
and I won't be able to help them find it until
Yes.
I've been through the experience myself.
Oh, that's very true. Hmm.
So, how has your own experience helped you as a coach, as
Hmm.
a practitioner, as a teacher?
Well, I do have to say, and I want to tell the story about my publisher. That was another time I got knocked down. So I went to Book Baby. I was going to self-publish. That was my original path. And it was going to cost probably around $2,000. And I was kind of having trouble. COVID, I kind of lost my six-figure job, and I was kind of struggling. And to come up with a couple $1,000 was difficult. And at that moment, a friend of mine who was also doing a book, but a business book, said, "Hey, I met with a publisher, and she said I'm not her kind of author." And I asked what kind of author they were looking for. They said somebody doing like self-help spiritual publishing. And he said, I gave her your name. And literally, she reached out to me and said, "Would you share your manuscript?" I did. And she said, "This is perfect. We would like to publish your book. It won't cost you a penny. We'll take care of everything. And all you need to do is provide the final manuscript and approvals." And I have to read it again and again and again. Anyway, long story short, I've been able to share that publisher with other friends of mine that have gone through the same process. So that's one thing. And also the kind of the helping them manifest, like I did, coming up with the title, coming up with a book cover, making it real, getting closer to reality, and not waiting until you have the full manuscript, that you can manifest it by creating it. And so I use that in my coaching practice. I use that in my mentoring. I mentor coaches who are looking to get ICF, International Coaching Federation, certified. I use that with practitioners. So we have a class of about 15 practitioners who are going through and getting certified, their certifications. And so I use that with them to kind of remind them that we can together get through things, that spirit can come through any vehicle or any person. And so that's what I do is I share with them my trials and tribulations, and then try to spot in them when they're on the ground saying, "I can't do this anymore," and help bolster them. I mean, that's the I think the biggest thing, Reverend Sherry, that I do is just assure people that they are spirit manifesting, and that if they don't, then they're keeping their gifts from the world. They're they're not allowing what spirit needs so desperately, and that is our hands, our mouths, our minds to manifest. That's what we're here for. And that stopping that is like trying to stop God, and good luck.
All righty then. So flip it over and tell me what has been the most challenging situation you've been asked to address as a coach or as a practitioner that somebody has brought to you?
Oh, that's a great question. So of course I can't use any client names
No,
or
of course.
anything, so everybody will remain anonymous. I would say that uh, I spoke with um, someone, and when a client came to me, and it was 2 days after their baby sister had committed suicide. And the emotions were so powerful and so raw. It is the day that I realized that I'm an empath. Because when I got off the phone after that first conversation, I walked into the bathroom and vomited. I know it's not a pleasant visual, but I have to say it because I just need you to know that we have that ability to absorb other emotions and other pains, and that it's something that I didn't realize I had that ability to do. And so that was an important thing for me to learn, and to get a little bit more separation when those emotions are that powerful. So through that process, first of all, uh, God bless the Catholic religion, but one of the things this person was dealing with was that this was a sin that his sister had committed. And the church would absolutely not even entertain uh, helping with that, with this celebration of life, or a ritual that would help the family with this transition. This was a young girl, barely in her 30s. And so that was one thing, was putting him in contact and connection with religions that would allow a ritual to occur. So I did point him in the direction of religious science, because I know that our beliefs are that this is not a sin. And so that was
Oops.
one thing. And the second thing I learned was really about the need for, again, remembering that we're spiritual beings going through a human experience. And so his sister was really, you know, she was invisible until she came into this earth as birth. So, but she existed, just we couldn't see her. And so what I was able to help him realize was that her transition to death was really just a continuation where she continued but became invisible again. That her energy, her spirit, all of the wonderful things that she had brought to his life were still there. And letting go of the guilt, because he felt a lot of guilt about why didn't he see it? Didn't he do something? And just accepting the situation and embracing what she had left and what marks she had left in his life and celebrating those. And so I'm happy to report from this very traumatic experience, he started doing speaking events with the suicide prevention group. And so through that, he found his purpose, right? He took the adversity of his sister's suicide, and now it goes out and is, he believes truly that he is preventing other suicides through his work, through his purpose.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Life is amazing.
It is. So I have 4 questions that I ask all my guests.
Okay.
The first one is probably the most important. Well, it's not the most important to me, but it's probably the most important to the guests. And that is there anything that you want our audience to know or to experience about you that I have not asked you about?
Ooh. Hmm. Wow. I think that, your whole audience, that's a lot of people. So I would just like to take a moment and let your whole audience, every single person that's watching this right now, to feel my heart opening and to feel the love that I have for everyone that I meet, even people that I don't agree with, knowing that the people who are the hardest to love are the ones that need it the most. And so I would just like to open my heart right now and just let you know that giving and receiving love is the meaning of life. And I just want to give as much of my love as you're able to accept, and to let you know that I'm here to receive it. Even if I never meet you, even if this is the only contact we have, then that love is really the meaning. That's all we're here to do. We think we're here to do jobs, to write books, to make things happen. But if we can just love someone else and be able, this is the hardest thing, be willing and able to allow other people in your life to give you love that you can feel and receive, not resisting it, not pushing it away, not feeling unworthy, that is such a gift that you have, to accept and receive love from other people. Such a gift. Such a gift.
I think that's the best answer I've ever gotten to that question.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Okay, here's the next one. How does what you do as a practitioner, as a coach, as an author, how do all of those things, which basically boils down to how does being you, how does that enhance, encourage, support, pick your own verb, conscious evolution?
Mm. Mm. Well, I think I would probably go back to, I'm going to go back to the ashram for a minute. When I was at the ashram, my spiritual leader, who didn't really know me, but of course he knew me because he's connected to spirit, he gave me a spiritual name. And so my spiritual name is Satyabhama, which is, she was the wife of Krishna, one of the wives of Krishna. And her name means beaming with truth. Now, my friends translate it slightly different when it comes to me, and they call me a source of brutal honesty. and and sometimes that's what we need. We need someone who's willing to say the hard things, to tell us the things that maybe we're not willing to look at. Um, I know that for me, I much prefer someone to tell me like it is, even if it's not kind. I want to know, because then I can do something about it. I can respond, I can change, or I can decide not a good place for me to be. I think we need that feedback. We need to be able to look at things that are tough, that are not quite what we were expecting, and to be able to hear the tough love. So I think that in my practice, I probably am the person that tells people the things they know, but I try to tell them in a way that they can't just sweep it under the rug, and I'll hold them accountable. And I think in the book I do that, definitely in my practitioner sessions. Um, and I think the biggest thing I do is I encourage people be to be present. I think that's the biggest thing, especially with the class of practitioners that I'm working with right now, is every single one of them, am I saying it right? Am I doing it right? Do I have the process? And I'm like, just let go of all that. At this moment, just be and allow your higher self to show up. Because when you're in there thinking, okay, am I in the fifth step or the fourth step? You're being human, right? And you're being so focused that spirit can't get your attention. And so that's the thing that I try to do, is to show up authentically and to be. And my favorite, Reverend Sherry, the favorite thing that a client says to me, I just live for these days, and it happens quite a bit, so I'm happy, is when I'll say something that just is like, where in the heck did that come from? And they'll go, that is the weirdest thing that you would say that, because this and this and this just happened. And that ties into what you just said, and you don't even know about this and this and this and this. And that's how I know that spirit showed up. This spirit showed up. And because I was connected, because I was authentic, because I allowed weird things to come out of my mouth that you wouldn't even think would be pertinent to a situation or a counseling session. The weirdest thing, that is the weirdest thing that you would say that.
Mm-mm.
That's my
Okay,
favorite.
now the third question is close to, no, the second question. Well, the next question is almost the same as that one, but instead of conscious evolution, it's world peace. How does what you do promote, encourage, unveil, reveal, support world peace?
Hmm. So I believe that peace has to start within. That the reflection of our world around us is just that. It's reflecting, or it's an outpicturing of what we are feeling within, right? And so all of the wars that are going on, all of the political unrest that is happening, is really an outpicturing of something within us. And so I think that the most important thing that I can do and that I can give is the experience of tapping into that place of ultimate peace, that place of ultimate harmony, that place of connection where there is no separation, in your words, Reverend Sherry. And to have that experience, this is a beautiful analogy that I like to use, and that is, we all have had a glimpse of that, like a moment. It could have just been a second where we felt that. We know that it exists. It's out there because we've had an experience of it. And so the analogy I like to use is like our goal is to take those moments and make each one of them last a little bit longer, to make them last a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And also to have them happen more and more frequently in our lives. So we know that peace exists. And so I think that each one of us doing our internal work to get back in touch with that and to make those moments expand. And some ways to do that are journaling, sharing those experiences, we relive them. So we have a moment of a double rainbow. We take a picture and we post it on Facebook. And we talk about the feelings, the emotions that came with that. That just expanded that moment for many, many, many people. That double rainbow you had just got expanded. And to spend our time doing that and creating and experiencing, slow down long enough to see the double rainbow, right? So eventually, and this is what I did see with Guru Satchidananda, Swami Satchidananda, was somebody who lived in that blissful place nonstop. Everything was a double rainbow to him. Like a child, everything was amazing and beautiful. And that, I think it's available. And that the more work we do internally will help to make that projection or reflection around us more peaceful.
Okay, here's the next one. You might want to shut your eyes for this one because it requires some imagination. This is the one folks like the best. Presuming that everything goes exactly the way you want it to go, every little detail, every event, every relationship, every experience, everything goes exactly the way you want it to go. 10 years from now, what does Sheryl, Cattell, and Allmaya look like?
That is a good one. Hmm. 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 10 years from now, I think there's more books. I think this was just that I can do better. And I know it can be done, so I think it'll go much easier. So there'll be more books that speak to different audiences, but always bringing them back to the same place. That connectedness, that peace within, and the ability to remember. So I think that I'm going to write a whole series of remembering books. Remember, adversity is not a negative. It's just a pathway to something else, purpose. So I think that's one thing. I think I probably will do some more writing. Um, the ministry, I'll probably transition to more group things. I love the synergy of a group. As much as I love the one-on-one and seeing an individual improve their lives. That's like the biggest gift when somebody says you really made a difference. And I think I think I would expand it to become bigger and bigger groups. When COVID first hit, I did a happiness group, and I was always amazed. Between 10 to 20 people would show up every week to talk about happiness. And that was just such a, a soul felt, heartfelt group. Everyone wanting to and seeking that happiness within and helping others find it as well. So I think that it might become a series of groups based on remembering who we really are, remembering our spiritual self. But one might be titled adversity, one might be titled, I think there might be something around suicide or dealing with death and mortality or the illusion of mortality. And so I think it's a series of groups, bigger groups and maybe more retreats. I don't know. This one, it was like magic. I didn't even know I knew 50 people who would want to come to this retreat. And here they are. Well, Karen knows a few thousand, so that helped. So I think that's what it looks like.
All righty then. I'll take an order of that. Okay, here's the last question. Will you come back?
To your show?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely, Rev Sharon. This
Well,
is
my
been
next opening
delightful.
is the 21st of January. Can I plug you in?
You got it. That's right after my birthday. I'll be happy.
Yay! 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 Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
And I want to let everybody know that next week, pardon me, next week's guest is Reverend Dr. Brock Ford. And he is an amazing, remarkable person. He's been with us before and everybody loved him. And I can hardly wait for him to come back because he's one of my favorite people in the world. I think of him as sort of like the little brother I never had. So you don't want to miss it. Be here or be square, as they used to say when I was much, much younger. Thanks for being here today. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.